Does the Ark still exist on the mountains of Ararat?
There's been many expeditions that have gone up there, and by creationists. John Morris took several expeditions up there, struck by lightning and such. They didn't find it, but there's really good historical evidence and testimonies of people that have claimed in the past, not too long ago past, to have seen it.
Still
But they
exists.
said that it was on the edge of a mountain, about to teeter off the end. And so, is it still there?
I don't think we should commit to it. Simple as that. You can't commit to it. Does it still exist today? Well,
Who knows?
I've never
Also,
been there. I'm not going to commit to it.
Yeah, does it actually matter if it even does
Yeah.
exist today?
Yeah.
That's the same point that Jesus made, with the account of the poor man Lazarus and the rich man. Rich man went into torment. Poor man Lazarus went into paradise with Abraham. And the whole point that Jesus was making through the account that Abraham said is that even if somebody rises from the dead, it doesn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm.
They've already got the law and the prophets. That's good enough evidence for them. If they're going to reject that, then it doesn't matter even if somebody rises from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, rising from the dead is pretty powerful evidence, and people would still reject it. You know this because somebody did rise from the dead. His name was Jesus Christ, and people still reject him today. So the Ark and discovering the Ark, or whether the Ark still exists on the mountain of Ararat, isn't going to be the final proof for Christianity, as many people believe it to be, because we already have the documentation of the Ark having happened, and the global flood having happened. It's in Genesis, which is Moses and the prophets, right? We already have the evidence in front of us. Of course, that leads on to an interesting concept, because if you flip that, believing the Moses and the prophets, you get an interesting reason as to why we do what we do. John, do you want to comment on that?
Yes, just one thing you might find helpful to think through. Having spoken personally many times to John Morris and enjoyed immensely his telling and retelling of being struck by lightning many times, attacked by wild dogs and all of those sort of things, and getting very frustrated at not finding anything up on the mountain. And of course, the chief historical bit of evidence was the French archaeologist, historian, who came down with a bit of carved timber that wasn't native to the area. I read that when I was a youngster, and as far as I can see, it's still a valid bit of situation. But as to why a log of timber would be up there, shaped, etc., I've been reminded as I've traveled all around the world of the real history of the planet. Noah gets off the ark. The water is still on its way down. You may remember the water started to go down 3 months before they got off. The chief reason probably being so that the grass could grow, the animals would have fresh food as soon as they got off. And they got off and they proceed to eat it. But of course, Noah and his family have to have somewhere to live. What are they going to use? And people have almost glibly said, well, they chopped up the ark to live in. Well, that's a possibility, particularly since I've now traveled all over the planet. And you look at the history of England and Scotland, and you say, why were castles stopped? Why did they stop building them? And then the name Oliver Cromwell comes up because he brought a humongous big cannon in from Europe and proceeded to blast many of them off the planet. Well, he didn't have to blast too many of them before people just abandoned castles themselves. Castles were useful against bows and arrows, against spears, against human invasion. But against Oliver Cromwell's cannon, you may as well just walk out the front gate and give up. Now, but the castles aren't there. Where did the castles go to? And as I was in one village in Scotland, and I found the answer to that, the castle that used to be on the top of the hill is now what the village houses are made of. Right? So we've cycled and recycled. There's nothing new about recycling. Recycled castles are all over England and Scotland. And that's most probably what happened to the timbers of the ark. In the next little while, burn them up for keeping you warm, because for the first time there was winter on the planet, right? It was winter, there was summer, you needed shade to stay in. So Noah had to solve that problem as well as getting the animals off the ark and making sure they distributed wherever the Lord wanted them to go. So there's an interesting thought for you as you look for evidence of things around the planet.
And if people are getting struck by lightning, perhaps God's saying, I don't want you looking for it.
There could be a good point in that, because God is a God who's always been jealous of his position. And I say jealous in the best sense. That's one reason why Moses' staff is sort of gone. That's one reason why the serpent is no longer valid, because the people worship these things. They took the object instead of the God who used the object, and they would worship him. I'm sure if we found Noah's Ark outside of Kentucky, people would set it up as a religious shrine and they would start to worship it.
Yeah. And we have such good evidences. Before we came online, Craig asked about one of his fossils that I have in my keeping, a dragonfly. And that one fossil alone speaks to so many evidences that we have of a global flood. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate, but there's plenty of evidences out there, and that's what we're trying to bring to people.
And I think the point that Craig made is quite an important one. God is not really in the habit of keeping ancient relics. Think Ark of Covenant, think temple, so on and so forth. He's provided us all the evidence we need in his written and revealed word, and that's all that we should be more than happy with it.